Welcome to another House of Wisdom video, and today we're going to pay homage to one of the oldest, most prominent knife corporations in the industry, which is Spyderco. And I'm going to be talking about my top 5 Spyderco knives, and they aren't the knives that are in front of you. But first I'm going to talk a little bit about what I like about Spyderco. This is the Spyderco S. They don't make it anymore, but isn't that a great knife? This is one of the first ones they did with the compression lock. It's old, it's out of date, and it's out of production. Well, I'm going to talk about what I like about Spyderco. First of all, I like it that Sal Glesser has trained and passing the business to his son, Eric Glesser. And Sal and Eric have made a lot of the designs of Spyderco. I like it when fathers pass their trades to their son. I like it, for example, Anthony Marfione of Microtech. Here's a Microtech UTX 85. He's passed his trade to his son, and Tony Marfione has started Heretic Knives and has his own company. And Chris Reeve of Chris Reeve's Knives, here's a Sabenda that Chris designed, and Tim Reeve is now running his company because he stepped down on it. Todd Begg of Begg's Knives, he's nephew Tobin. I talked with him at Blade 2018, and he does this cracked ice finish on the handles whenever he gets done with his schoolwork. He's a homeschool kid, and so he has some time off. He works in the shop and helps manufacture the Begg knives. And then Mel Pardue, you know, here's a mini grip, and it's got Mel Pardue's name right on it there. He designed it, and he designed a lot of what comes out of Benchmade. Well, he trained his son, and then his son trained his grandson, and his grandson is Rob Carter, who's a great custom knife maker, but he designed the Carter Prime from Ontario Knife Company. So I love it when fathers pass their trade to their children, and Spyderco is an example of that. Another thing I like about Spyderco is that of all the knife companies, they have great cutting geometry. They have a flat, full grind on a lot of their blades. Here's an example of a Delica, and this is the best slicing geometry that you can have. Get a thin blade and then have a full flat grind, and then you're off to the races. And they did the same thing on the Native 5 here. It's a full flat grind. On the Spyderco S, they have a full flat grind, although it's a powdered metal, and they have this cool blade series there. Anyway, and this one too, full flat grind. So a lot of their knives, they full flat grind. They have a preference for that. I really like it. Okay, we're going to get on to my favorite top 5 Spyderco knives. But first, I want to talk to you about the guy that knows more about Spyderco knives than I do. I am not the man in any way, but I know a guy who's the man, and he has a knife review channel. His name is, he goes under the moniker Keith Kevin Kin, and he has a subscription to the Spyderco subscription, in which you get every Spyderco knife made, including the sprint runs, and they're serialized. He has the largest collection of Spydercos of any knife reviewer that I've seen. He has dozens, probably hundreds of Spydercos, and I'm going to talk to you about his favorite 5. His favorite 5, his 5th favorite is the Sage 2. As you know, the Sage is a series where they're showing off the different types of lock. They have a back lock, they have a compression lock. Well, the Sage 2 is a frame lock. And his 4th favorite is the Mantra 1. This video was done before the Mantra 3. Personally, I feel the Mantra 3's flipping capabilities are much better than the Mantra 1's flipping capabilities, but that was his favorite. His 3rd favorite was the Sleesh Spidey Chef. His 2nd favorite was the Sleesh Bowie, and actually he said all the Sleesh knives are his favorite. He would have included the Techno in there, but I think he wanted to give some variety. And then his 1st favorite of all the Spyderco knives, the guy that has all the Spyderco knives that are made, was the Patata, and this is a really rare knife. It is a knife with a 3.9-inch blade. It's really a pocket sword, but that was his favorite. And he's giving it from the perspective of someone with a very large hand. Keith Kevin Kin's hands are so big, they're like Michelin Man's hands. I'll throw a picture of his hands up here, but you can just see how large his hands are. So, of course, he'd want the larger knives. That's his perspective. I'm going to give you a perspective of what I consider to be the Spyderco top 5 knives in just a little bit, and I have small to normal size hands. So, here they come. In the position of my 5th favorite knife is the Southard with the smock modification. Without the smock modification, it has a blade length of 3.46 inches and weighs 4.1 ounce. Smock modified this, Kevin Smock, and it had originally 3 barrel spacers. He cut off the end and then shortened the blade here so that it has a blade that is 2.75 inches and weighs only 3.36 ounces. It's made of CTS 204-piece steel, and it is one of my favorite knives. I liked it so much I bought it twice, and I'm going to be doing a video on that sometime. I think knives I liked so much that I bought twice. There's only a handful of knives that I've bought 2 of, but the Southard with the smock modification is one of those. Southard has other designs. One of his older ones is the positron, and it's a beautiful knife. This has carbon fiber scales, the wire clip, which I really liked. I didn't like it as much because its flipping is a little bit irregular. It just doesn't flip out there. And I tried the Hanen at Blade 2018, and I wasn't impressed with its flipping action either. But the Southard has a great flipping action. It has this peculiarity in that it has asymmetric handle scales. You can see the show scale is twice as wide as the clip scale, and that just gives you a place to put your thumb and gives you counter traction whenever you flip that out. So this is my 5th favorite Spyderco knife, the Southard. Moving to my 4th favorite Spyderco, it is the Little Native with the compression lock. And I have it here next to its Big Daddy, the Native 5. And as you can tell, the architecture is the same. This is just comes into a smaller package. I'll move the Big Native off. So the Little Native has a compression lock. I really like the compression lock because you can put your finger back there, you can open it, you can close it. You can either open it with the Spidey hole or you can just compress the lock and flip it out like that. But basically, you don't have to move your finger out of the blade path with a compression lock because it's all in the back and you just flip it down. One of the things that I felt was an error in the knife was that the guard here on the 50-50 finger choil was a little bit too prominent, and whenever the knife went back to its resting state, it would poke up and get you. And so I had someone shave that off a little bit and then cut a sharpening choil there. So now this is completely great with me, and I really like it. It's in a small package. With the forward finger choil, I can get a nice 4-finger grip on it, yet it's very small. The Little Native has a 2.5-inch blade and only weighs 2.4 ounces. It uses the traditional S30V steel, which is the go-to steel for Spyderco. So I really like it. It's my 4th favorite Spyderco knife. My 3rd favorite Spyderco knife is the Silesia Bowie. It sports a 3.42-inch blade. It weighs 4.3 ounces and uses CTS XHP steel. Recently, Spyderco discontinued the production of the Silesia Bowie, and it broke my heart that what I consider to be one of their very best knives they stopped producing. And so I snapped one up on the secondary market before they all went away from another knife reviewer, actually. But this action is amazing. It runs on washers, but it has some of the smoothest action. It just falls shut, and it's so easy to deploy. You'd think it would be on bearings, and I don't know how they do it, but they have this stonewash mirror polish on the blade too with all the Silesia knives, and it's just gorgeous. It's a full flat grind, and it's really a guilty pleasure for me because usually I don't get heavy knives over 4 ounces, but this I like so much that I had to get it. And it's a shame that Spyderco discontinued it, so you guys will have to pick them up on the secondary market. The Spyderco Silesia Bowie is my 3rd favorite Spyderco knife. Coming in at my 2nd top Spyderco knife is the Dragonfly. This particular edition has the high-end steel ZDP 189. You can get it in VG10, but I go with the high-end steels. And even the high-end steels, they don't even cost $100. They're less than $100, so I consider it a great value. It has a 2.2-inch blade and only weighs 1.2 ounces. This is probably my most carried knife when I go on trips or I just want to grab something and put it in my pocket. It's so light at 1.2 ounces that it doesn't intimidate anybody, and you can't even notice it in your pocket. You lose track of it. It has my favorite Spyderco wire clip, and I made a video called The Lightest and Best Knives in the World, And I judged this to be the lightest and best knife in the world, both for the value you get and the ergonomics. You have the 50-50 finger choil, and so you can get it with a pinch grip here and have complete control over it. It's small enough and large enough. If you use the forward 50-50 finger choil, you can get all 4 fingers on there. You can go over this and put your index finger all the way almost to the tip and really control the tip very well. It's just the greatest ergonomic knife with the greatest clip and the lightest at 1.2 ounces. This is my second favorite Spyderco, the Dragonfly, in ZDP 189. Okay, so here's the moment you're waiting for, my favorite top Spyderco knife, and it's going to be the Para 3. The Para 3 has a 3-inch blade, weighs 3 ounces, and uses S30V in its original form, which has the black G10 handle scales. They make it in a variety of types, though, a lot of sprint runs, just like the Paramilitary 2. They have it in S35VN with brown handle scales. They have a Maximet steel knife with gray handle scales. They have a knife with S110V with blue and purple handles. They have an M4 steel that uses natural, and they also came out in a red handle scale also. They have crew wear that has light gray handles, and they have S90V, which have carbon fiber handles. They also had a ball bearing steel that had carbon fiber handles. Well, it's a G10 with a carbon fiber peel ply over it. So there are lots of options of how you can do that. My favorite iteration, I think, is the Cutlery Shop version, which came out with orange G10 scales, and it has a DLC-coded CTS XHP knife. I'm going to show a picture of it here. I just think this is beautiful. Initially, when it came out, it was going for only $150, and it lasted less than the half-life of cottage cheese. So it was gone in about an hour, I'm told. And so now those of us that want any of these sprint runs, you have to get them on the secondary market, and people charge a lot more. They're over $200 for $150 knives, but I guess that's what you have to pay if you want to get it. So anyway, the Paramilitary 2 historically has been one of Spyderco's best sellers. I had one, and there are very few knives I sent back, but it was one of them because it was just a pocket sword. I thought it was too large for me. And then there was the Little Native, and I fully expected that I was going to like the Little Native more because, right, it's just small like the Dragonfly, and it's got the compression lock like the Para 2. I thought it would just be perfect, but my hand felt a little bit cramped whenever I'm flipping it, and the Para 3 just feels comfortable. It seems like the right size with the 3-inch blade. It's got the forward 50-50 choil. I like the different sprint runs it comes out in too. On the Little Native, for example, you know, they came with the compression lock. They're coming out with a back lock. But really, this is the guy that's getting all the love and all the sprint runs, and everybody likes it. I think it's going to be displacing the Para 2 for a lot of guys. Now, I know you're going to get a lot of comments in the comment section about that, but that's just the opinion of a guy with small hands. So, and you can tell, when I use the forward finger choil, I still have, over a centimeter here, almost 2 centimeters of length. So even if you have large hands, you can accommodate it. It seems just like the perfect Spyderco knife. It has that Spidey hole that makes it easy to flip out. You can retract it easy, but also you can just compress the compression lock and flip it out like that. So I really like the Para 3. It's an everyman's knife. It's less than $150 if you just get the regular style, and it has a lot of sprint runs. So anyway, those are my favorites. I'm going to line them up here for you again to see. So here are my favorites just to review again. Number 5, the Southard. I have the smock modification on this one. Number 4, the Little Native. My third favorite, the Sleesh Buoy. My second favorite, the Dragonfly. And my very favorite, the Para 3. Hey, I hope you've enjoyed this video. In the comments below, let me know about your favorite Spyderco knife and why you like it. And thanks for watching. We'll see you again on the House of Wisdom Knife Review channel.